Hello and welcome to the Sacred Rainbow Current Global Online Summit, bringing together the multifaceted custodians of our planet and humanity to reveal deep truths, wisdom, and tools to enable the guardianship of our planet for the future generations. Sacred protection, connection, and the holding of earthly and cosmic light portals is potent to humanity's highest timeline ascension. My name is Kerry Bridget McCrory, and I am your summit host and creator, airing from the Coniglen Valley in the Sperrin Mountains of Northern Ireland, Éirú. My mountain is called Spatnadua, and my river is the Coniglen Burn that gradually flows into the Owenkillu River. Today, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Elizabeth Bercovici. I hope I'm saying that right.
Bercovici, but you weren't that far off, Bercovici.
Bercovici. It sounds much more beautiful when you say it. So, welcome, Elizabeth, from Hackensack, New Jersey, in the US. And in a deep and passionate way, Elizabeth also has a beautiful, soulful connection with the Celtic landscapes that have inspired and been a massive part of her soul calling. And do you want to say hello? You've sort of got to say hello there.
Hello, everyone. I'm so honored and excited to be here. And I'm just like beaming for everyone here in the audience. Thank you for being part of this beautiful, glorious summit. It is such an honor to connect with you today.
Elizabeth Dillon is a mythic storyteller, intuitive healer, a writing coach, a new paradigm teacher, and a candidate for higher energies. Elizabeth is also the host and producer of 7 magical storytelling virtual summits, including Treasures of Ireland, High Magic and Eden, Avalon, and the Holy Grail. These were immersive experiences exploring the goddess Bridget, the Morgan, the Fae, mythic storytelling, and Celtic law. She's a catalyst for soul growth and helps people heal on a deep level through channeled activations and vortex healing, a special form of divine magic through the Merlin lineage. Her latest courses include Awakening Awen, The Way of the Bard, and Arthurian Myth and Magic. Elizabeth has an MFA in creative writing from Emerson College and a BA in English literature from Skidmore College. Elizabeth has published 2 books, a children's book called The Fairy and the Firefly, and a handbook about herbal medicine entitled The Energetic Apothecary. She loves to help people with writing, storytelling, and birthing creative projects. Her gift is igniting the soul fire in others so they can step into their power, their purpose, their creativity, and their greatness. And I'm just so delighted to have you here today to share your magical journeys, your magical stories, and to light this summit up with your magical touch. Our talk today is Irish goddesses of the land and sea. And I just want to check in with you, Elizabeth, and ask, which Irish goddesses do you connect with the most, and how did you first connect in with them?
Oh my God, that is a big question. It's funny. I think the first goddess I connected with was Bridget, and I know like today Irish goddess is the land and sea. I have other goddesses I want to explore in greater detail, but I think it was not I think it was Bridget first, and I want to share this because Goddess Bridget has been the flame that has carried me through so many different portals of initiation. And one thing that I discovered this summer is the way that time works in ways you don't expect. And when I first connected with Bridget, I think it was back in 2020, might have been 2019. So it was a long time ago. And it's when I was actually studying more Bardic storytelling and I was looking at Welsh mythology. And I had an old Bardic handbook about, like ancient storytelling. And there was this goddess Bridget, goddess of the bards. And I had to, there's something in my heart that just opened, like something in my soul when I heard the name Bridget. And I felt that I'd had many lifetimes connecting and working with this beautiful goddess. And I remember learning at the time to call on Bridget for divine inspiration. And so when I sat down to write, to create, to make magic, I would call on Goddess Bridget, and I found that my words would flow like the river. I found that there was something that came to life in me. And so Bridget, there is also, of course, Saint Bridget, who I believe was an embodiment, a reincarnation of the goddess. But it's interesting because Saint Bridget is deeply connected to the water, and Goddess Bridget I associate much more with the flame. So it's interesting because I think that when you're doing any kind of creative work, especially writing, there is the flame of inspiration. There is that spark, that divine spark, and you don't even know where it comes from. It comes from source, it comes from the beyond. But also, as you write or do, painting, singing, there is a flow that starts to take place. And I associate that much more with the water elements. So I really feel this is just like a little side note, but it's interesting because today's topic is goddesses of the land and sea. That's a very elemental talk title. And so I just want to share that for me, Bridget was the first. And it was through this, this creative portal that she opened in my heart and my soul. And I just want to hold on, I'm going to just play with my computer for a second. Okay, perfect. There we go. I just wanted to share Bridget, when she came to me, I was in this period of, it was a rebirth. It was kind of like a renaissance because I had been in a master's program for creative writing. And this program was a very, I don't want to say 3D, but for lack of a better word, that's what it was. It was a program that like a lot of everyday people, I was in this program and whenever I would say spirit or magic, they would like go running to the hills and they didn't want to hear about anything spiritual, magical. And for me, the way that I always connected with writing and creativity, it felt like I was channeling something from the beyond. It felt like something from the other world was coming through my words, coming through my heart. And when I would share that in my master's program, my creative writing master's program, people did not understand. And so I felt very, very lonely in that program, very misunderstood. And when I graduated from the program, I almost just didn't even want to do any more writing. And but that was my soul mission, my soul calling, my soul destiny. And I remember picking up this Bardic handbook, hearing about the goddess Bridget, and all of a sudden that fire was lit within me again. And I share this because I think that Bridget speaks to all of us, those of us who have lost the enchantment, the magic of life, those of us who like we've lost that passion, we've lost that creative spark. Bridget brings this back to us. And I think that, all the other goddesses, like, and I definitely want to talk about many of the Irish goddesses today, but I think so many of us would go through life and it can be sometimes like mundane, it can sometimes feel monotonous. And what we really need more than anything is that remembrance that every day is magical, that every day we can feel that divine spark of life. And so Bridget, I feel like she is the goddess to go to first to remember that innate spark, that joy of being alive. So
And it's like she's like a multi dimensional energy, like you say, when it comes to working with the element. She's working with all of the elements, like
yeah.
the fire and the earth as well as the water, the flow. And when I think of the saint, the story of, she flung out her cloak and how far, would it cover on the landscape? And this is where her church was allowed to be built. So it's sort of like she brings in all of the elements. So you can actually see as you're talking about her why she was the first big one, like the initiator into this further awakening into all of the other archetypes and the goddesses and the energies. Very powerful.
Yes. No, no, and it's very, very important too, because what I was gonna say is I didn't realize till this past summer how much of an influence she had been on my journey, because there was stuff that she set up for me like 3 years ago. 3 years ago that I didn't see the fruit of till this past summer. And it was so weird because those seeds were planted, and really it was Bridget. I did not realize who's behind the scenes of so much of my life. And I share this because I think so often when we hear like, oh, connect with the different gods and goddesses, and we might say, oh, okay, I'm not sensing anything, or we might think that, oh, that might be fun to do in the moment, but like, what's like the impact that it's really ultimately going to have in our lives? And I can just say from direct experience that, like, to me, Bridget, I'm going to just be very honest, she is a goddess of miracles. And that's not, I mean, that's something you might connect more with Saint Bridget. I am telling you, because I had miracles happen. I it was like just I could actually go on at length. But I don't know if there's one that there's some that like I'm really just supposed to keep to myself. I'm not supposed to share them. But I heard of Bridget as goddess of miracles, and I remember, when I first connected with her, like I said, it was really through that lens of divine inspiration. But really, what she does is just like bring inspiration through. It's like for the world to really, I feel like there's a rebuilding that is happening right now. And Carrie, especially like this beautiful summit that you have. I know that one of the causes behind it is like we're really holding the land in Ireland, holding it sacred, and I really feel together standing to build a better world. And so Bridget, even though we might think of her as a goddess relegated to ancient legends and early myth, she is very much still an active force striving to protect the land, to actually not just protect the land, that's currently there, but to make it thrive, to make it flourish even more than it ever has before. And so I just want to share that when you connect with Bridget, it doesn't just have to be for creative inspiration. It really can be for miraculous healing for your physical form, or just miraculous healing for something in your life. And I just feel her energy so strongly right now, wanting to be present as goddess of miracles. So, Carrie, I'm not sure if you feel similarly, if you've had any
Well,
connections with
well,
her like.
I feel that there's something within her that brings her feelings alive as
Yes.
well, that she connects us to what's truly going on in our feeling body. And I know I've went through like different initiations as well. Like I am like both of my grannies were called Bridget on the both sides. And so I've had my own connection with the Bridget energy as well. But more specifically, there's a lovely lady that has done so much for the Bridget energy in Ireland. Her name is Dolores Whelan. And I can't remember exactly what year it was, but she did a workshop one year. And like just the power, like the healing
Mm,
that came forth in that, the realizing. So like the fire, like something's lit, that so much happened that she has been a big part of my life. And um I've wrote a manuscript for a book, which it's sort of been put to the side. It's there, it's just resting. But what I can tell you is like one entire chapter, and this has been wrote since 2017, started 2018, is called Bridget's Flame. That's how
mm.
powerful she has been, like. But yeah, I can see why
Well,
it started.
yeah,
It
I
starts
love
with
that. I just
Bridget.
and I want to hear, like, did I hear correctly? I think when the interview was starting, I know that you introduced yourself. Is your middle name Bridget?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was like, I wasn't planning to talk about Bridget today. I literally was not planning to talk about Bridget today. And out of nowhere, it was just like, shoot, you said who was first? And I was like, actually, who was first? That's Bridget.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yes, I just really want a presence. I just feel so strongly. Would you mind if I did like a quick guided journey? I
That
know
would be
usually
beautiful.
it'll be super quick. I just want to like invite people for a second to connect with Bridget, and then we can go back to the interview. Is that okay?
Yes, that'll be beautiful.
Okay, yeah. This will be, I promise, it'll be quick. I know usually people don't get into guided journeys this early in interviews. But I just because for people who have not connected with Bridget before, I just want to presence that, I said she's a goddess of divine inspiration. She's also a goddess of healing. She's deeply connected with the hearth, the flame. And so any area of your life where you're feeling like there's not a lot of inspiration, where you want more fire, call in Bridget. And like I said, she is like, I think for many people, the first Irish goddess they connect with, because she really brings you back in touch with the deepest part of yourself. So I just invite everyone who's here to just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and I just invite you to actually feel yourself transported for a moment to the beautiful lands of Ireland. You can just see the beautiful rolling green hills, the trees, the sound of the wind. Just really feel yourself rooted here, grounded here. I invite you for a second to feel these beautiful tree roots coming from the base of your feet, going down, down, down into the center of the earth. And now look out to the horizon, and there you see this glorious goddess with flaming red hair moving towards you. And I invite you to see the warmth of her eyes, the beauty of her smile. She looks like she represents and she is the power of the dawn itself. Really feel Bridget in this moment as goddess of the dawn. See her there standing before you, goddess of the flame, goddess of divine inspiration, carrying the power of 1,000 suns. You look into her eyes, feel her warmth, her love, her kindness. And really, in this moment, beyond anything else, feel her love for you. And take a moment to feel in your heart your love for this land, the land where you live, the land that you are visiting in this beautiful etheric journey, Ireland. Take a moment now to really connect with Goddess Bridget. If you have not met her before, introduce yourself and see if she has any beautiful words of wisdom for you, anything that she is here called to say. Beautiful. And now Goddess Bridget takes a hand and places it on your heart, and just receive whatever magic and medicine wants to come through from the goddess in this moment. You might want to feel there is a flame lighting your heart. This could be the flame of divine inspiration. This could be healing. This could be a miracle. And I really also invite Bridget to give you your true heart's desire. In this moment, open heart, mind, body, and soul to a miracle of destiny, to really open on the deepest level of your being to Bridget's grace in your life. And as you feel this, all of a sudden, high up, you see the rain starts to pour down, baptizing you in this sacred moment. The rain comes down. Feel yourself held by the gaze, the loving gaze of Goddess Bridget, goddess of the flame, goddess of fire, as the rain pours down. And feel this mixing of the elements. Feel yourself breathing in the air. Feel the earth beneath your feet. Feel all the elements coming together in this one moment for ultimate magic, healing, and truly in your heart of hearts, open to whatever you most need right now. Bridget is also a goddess of sustenance, nourishment. Allow yourself to be deeply nourished on a soul level, a cellular level. If your body needs healing, invite that healing in. If your heart needs healing, invite that in as well. Open heart, mind, body, and soul to the sacred medicine of this goddess, and just see if she has any final words of wisdom for you, anything that she is called to share here in this high holy moment that you stand in communion with her. Beautiful. And now the goddess Bridget hands you a gift. See what this is. This could be a stone, this could be a pine cone, an acorn. See what the goddess has to give you. Beautiful. And take this gift back with you. You might want to put this in your pocket. You might want to place it against your heart and let it merge and become one with you. And just take one last look at this beautiful place, at the trees. Breathe in the sacred air. Look once more at this radiant goddess with her hair the color of the sun. Thank her for the gifts she has bestowed today. Bridget offers you one final blessing, and feel yourself transporting back into the room where you first began this journey, coming back deeply into your body. You might want to rub your hands together, move your feet against the floor, and really come back into this now moment. And Carrie, I sorry, I had to be experiential. I couldn't just talk about her. I was like, everyone needs to feel her.
Yes, yes, so much. It's just it's so beautiful. And like the message that I was getting was about, and I feel like this is for a lot of us just to stay in our center, to be
Mhm.
centered. And then when you were saying about the gift at the end, I wasn't sure what the gift was. But then whenever my hands went, it was like, oh, boom, it was in my hand.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I saw a pine cone. I was like, I'm getting a pine cone. And I was like, okay. So that was why I said that.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's like gifts of the land. And so yeah,
Um,
I just
and what do you associate the pine cone with? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, I think it's funny where I live. I actually live on Pine Street. And my mother has, I think I connected actually, it's interesting you asked that. My mother has a collection of pine cones. She is forever collecting them. So I think I really connected with my mother, but also with my maternal lineage. And my maternal lineage, that's my Irish ancestry, interestingly enough.
Mhm.
So that's I didn't think about that. So you asked, what does the pine cone represent? I'm like, I
Yeah.
just thought my mother, but really her ancestors, my mother's mother is the one who has the Irish blood. So there's definitely I think there is a message for anyone listening to this if you have any Celtic blood or not don't even worry if you have Celtic blood. Just feel, the rootedness, like the deep roots of your ancestors
Yeah.
wanting to connect with you because whatever land you hail from, those roots bring you back to the earth.
Yeah.
So
And
that's what I'm definitely feeling coming through for everyone.
I'm with the pine cone as well. I think this is why I asked you this. Whenever I got married, my wedding bouquet, all I wanted was white roses and pine cones. So that
Oh,
was
I
actually my wedding bouquet. I was very attracted to having the pine cones. And then I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know in very, very, very ancient civilizations, there is some pine cones, and in some way they're actually related to the pineal or pituitary gland, that them centers near the third eye. So it's very interesting that you've brought that back as well to your like motherly lineages, isn't it?
Yes, I know. I love that. And I actually have heard you're right about like the pine cone being connected to the pineal gland and the third eye. And I think it's like bringing us back to our innate source of intuition. And so I love that because that actually kind of brings me to a topic I wanted to address. It's something that I've made peace with, but I definitely felt the goddesses wanted me to presence this. It's that fine line between us as to me, I believe that we are all like God, goddess in human form. So I believe we are divine here on earth. And so when we say, "Oh, Goddess Bridget, help me," or we call on like, any kind of deity, it could be, doesn't have to be a goddess, it can be a god, it can, like it's like, and it could be, doesn't have to be Irish, could be a Norse god. Like I personally also love like different gods like Odin. And I know Odin has a big following. I know there are gods and goddesses from all over. Like if we go to India, there's, Vishnu, Lakshmi. And the reason I'm presencing all this is why do we call in a god or goddess? If we are the divine in form, why are we calling in someone else to help us? And the way I like to describe it as we are not, we are this, but we are also all of it. Like we are all of creation, and there are certain beings that are holding different frequencies, different energies, different archetypal energies that we are wanting to command and call into our earthly human experience. And so, say you want to work with, for example, I just mentioned a Hindu god, Vishnu. uh, Vishnu is he is the sustainer and preserver. And I think this is very, very important. I work with this god a lot. And like I said, this is a Hindu god. But I find that a lot of the work that I do with the Celtic Isles, this is an ancient concept. And I've shared this. People, if you have followed my work before, you've heard me talk about this. But if you're new to me, you won't have heard this. And either way, I love to share that in the ancient days there was this right, the divine right of kings. And so that was like the land chose the leader. The land chose the one who would be king. In Ireland, it's like the stone of destiny would cry out, when presented with the true king. And the land chose best, like the best person to take care of the trees, the waters, the people. The land chose for the sustainability of the creation, for the creation to be able to prosper. And so I share that because if we look at our world leaders today, they don't understand these concepts. And I say that I know that there are people listening, especially to this interview, from many different parts of the world. So I'm sharing my experience right now as an American. But it's not just being an American. I'm sharing this summit to me feels very global. This feels very global. And I also taught English for a year in China. And so I experienced, when was this? This was back in 2012, 2013. I taught English for a year in China. And I really experienced the people there, the culture there. And I'm sharing this because I have found that not to call any leaders out, but you know what? I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say that a lot of the world leaders, they don't have a vision for the future. They don't have a sustainable vision to help us create harmony, peace, and prosperity globally, individually. And that's why I really feel so many of us are being called right now to step up because we are the leaders, we are the way showers. And for us to really, to lead ourselves. And so, everyone listening to this, you might not feel called to be a leader online or a leader in your community, but you are still the leader of your own life. You are still someone, I believe anyone listening to this, called to be in right relationship with your local community, with the people in your community, with your family. And that's really us leading ourselves to our best life. And so I share this because often when we are called to be the leaders, we are really called to step into the allness of creation. And it helps us to weave back to what I was sharing before. Why, if we are sovereign, if we are God, goddess in human form, why do we also work with someone like Goddess Bridget or different Irish goddesses like Goddess Anya, the Morrigan? Why would we connect? And it's because we're trying to cultivate, certain energies within ourselves, and we are calling on the host of heaven to support the creation because the creation is more than just this physical plane. Our ancestors knew this. We have known this throughout the world for millennia, that the world is more than that which we can see. And so when we connect with the gods and the goddesses, we bring through the power of the unseen world. The power that is unseen is that which makes matter, that which makes us. So when we connect with the unseen worlds, the gods and goddesses, we go back to source itself.
Yeah.
And we harness that within us. And I just want to finally say that when I connect with the gods and goddesses, I am also doing it with the knowledge that I myself am that goddess in form, that I am also holding those source codes, those source energies. And that's how I think we create magic in our lives.
Yeah.
That's how we make powerful change.
Yeah. And there's like an understanding that actually like them higher energies and the angels, they actually need human beings as the conduit between the earth and the higher realm,
Mm,
that we are so needed. And that's like this massive creation part of us that is like what is God? God and goddess creation.
yes. And I really just feel like we are stewards. You know, we are stewards of the land. Like that's our true role here is
And
to
I
be.
love the way as well that you've brought a good point about I would say I wouldn't say I would say the majority of the world's leaders are not in relationship with the land and the peoples that they're governing. That
Yes.
and in the Irish, I'm so glad you brought that up, that the king was married to the land.
Yes.
Yeah, that relationship was that respect, that I'm just getting like a holiness, like it was revered. It was what it was for a more peaceful existence than
Yeah.
what we have been living now. And it was for everybody. It was for the future generations. It was for the people. It was respecting the ancestors. And we so need that. We so need the way I would look at it, just the young to come on and them old paradigms, them old ways to just, and it will happen. It is happening. This is part of it happening. Our
Yes.
awareness.
Our awareness and us being the voice for it, us being the voice for the old ways to return and also this new future that we are weaving together. And no, I love that because I agree when you look especially at the Irish, like it's like you're right, there was a holy connection with the land. And I mean, I also love you know, one of the goddesses I haven't presence yet is like I don't know if I would call her a goddess, but Queen Maeve. I feel like every time I say Queen, I have to do like Queen Maeve. I have to always like give her that little oomph. And so the stories would go, like it was like Maeve herself who initiated the kings. And I see Maeve, of course, there are legends of, you know, like there's certain Queen Maeve in many of the legends with the brown bull of Cooley, but I also see Maeve as this fairy queen. And I've gone on many a journey where even in Ireland that Maeve has gotten like my if I was like in a car with someone, the car we get lost very close to the Hill of Tara, which is by Rath Maeve, site very sacred to her because Maeve has that fairy energy. She likes to take people on journeys and you get to your destination eventually, but it's always the road there is not what you expect. And I share that because I think that's part of the majesty. So it's not just, oh, we are sovereign guardians of the land. And, you know, I feel like, you know, Goddess Maeve reminds us to have fun with life. That part of the thing is we are guardians of the land, but the land wants us to enjoy ourselves. The land wants us to remember that it is magical. And that's part of what we're protecting. We're not just like, we are protecting this because it's sacred. I mean, yes, we are, but we're also protecting it because this is also, I feel like a playground. That's really the way I feel that this creation was intended. It is supposed to be a place of joy. And you know, you were talking earlier about I know just a second ago about, you know, the world leaders and like they don't really know it's like how to have peace. And I feel well, one thing I do want to say, I actually connect Goddess Bridget. I've had her actually bring through the energy. I was actually in Glastonbury when was this? I think 2022. This was my first time being Glastonbury in the southern UK. And I was like, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but I promise it connects. I went to, it was like the White Springs. This is a sacred place. And I felt very disconnected from I was with a group of women, very disconnected, and I suddenly was, like, guided to leave the group, and I kinda stumbled away from and this is a sacred, holy place, but I felt like I had to leave my group for a second, and out of nowhere, I found myself kneeling at the base of a statue, and I didn't know what the statue was until I saw that there were swans at her feet. And then I knew because swans are sacred to Bridget. And I was like, and I looked up and there was Bridget's cross was like on this goddess's, like against her breast. And I was like, this is Bridget. And so I was so excited because without even knowing, I had literally been led to this statue that was it was on the ground. It was hard to see. It wasn't high up. I wouldn't have even noticed it, but I was guided there by her. And there was something in my heart that had been heavy for years, something I could not let go of. And out of nowhere, I heard this is the first time I heard this goddess speak to me. And I just heard this command, be at peace. And there was this transmission from Bridget herself that came through in this holy place, but really from her for me to have peace. And I share this because that's not something I traditionally associated with Bridget. Like I said, goddess of divine inspiration, or like I said, the river, which is like to me more connected with flow. And yet she was also goddess of peace. And I share that because, I feel when we look at I mentioned Queen Maeve and the frolicking and the joy and the laughter and I feel like the fun that Maeve represents. Part of us opening to that is we need to have peace in our hearts. We need to really like live lives that are full of harmony. And when we look outside in the world and we look at our world leaders and we don't see that harmony, it becomes even more important for us to cultivate that within. And so going back, that's why I think it's also very important to connect with these gods and goddesses because they help us cultivate the harmony, the joy. They help us cultivate that within so we can see it without. So that was a bit of a tangent, but Carrie, I'm not
No,
sure if
no.
you wanted to
And
add.
I love the way that, whenever you talked about Bridget there and then you brought it back to the swan and the sovereignty, and that it sort of came from Queen Mab into the Bridget, the sovereignty. And it's sort of like I'm able to bring that wave back in another way, with an experience that I would have had. And as part of my work, I have trained as a colour therapist. And I was guided to this work through my heart space. So it wasn't like an intellectual, or it was totally something that happened organically, but not just organically in it was like a mystical and a magical way that this colour working and learning about it came to me. And within the system, it's like a rainbow system. I'm just going to just show you a wee glimpse quickly.
Oh yes, I'd love to see.
Yeah, just I'll show you a wee glimpse. So it's here because it's hard to explain.
Oh, I see all the colors. Yes.
Yes,
Oh
yeah.
my God, this makes sense why this is the Rainbow Summit. It sounds like it
Yes,
says so.
but this is what the way that this came into my life. It wasn't, it was like on a mystical and a magical level. And I'm just plugging my computer in. Anyway, I had trained in it. I had done all levels in it, and I had actually done what you call the bridge course because I believed I was maybe going to go on and teach this. And the company made some changes. The people who supply these coloured bottles. And this was back in, I think it was 2018 or 19 that this all happened. And for me, just being in my own sovereignty in my own space, the changes that came within the company they didn't sit with me 100%. So I sort of had to make like this decision, and it was a very hard and a difficult decision that to sort of step back and just to step back, but at the same time, right, this is the way I'll explain it to you, Elizabeth. At the same time, it was like, oh my God, I can't imagine not working with this. I can't imagine not using this. But anyway, I stepped back from it, and every so often, it's like all of these bottles have names and numbers, and every so often one's born into the system. So I had back in 2018, I had a dream one night, and in the dream, it was in my therapy room, exactly as it is in real life. But in the dream, there was a bottle on my couch, on my bed here in this room, but the bottle was like double the size. And in the dream, it was like there are two different levels. So it was like there are two different colors. So it was like inside the bottles were alive and they were going like this in a wave. So one was going this way on the top and one was going this way in the bottom. And it sort of started. So it sort of started like with the dark and the light, which would be the Metatron bottle, an Archangel bottle. So it started like that. But it continued, and in front of my eyes, I was seeing these alive waves change in color.
Mm.
So I had the dream. I didn't think too much about it. A couple of days passed. So this happened on a Saturday morning. I think I woke up and had the dream. And on the Monday, from the person who supplies the people in Ireland, a message came through. And the message that came through was that a new bottle had been born into the system. It had taken a bit of time, the process. So I had had this dream
Mm.
while this new bottle I didn't know was being created. And now I'm going to get to the really interesting part. So the last few bottles, from bottle 94 to 115, had all been named after archangels. They all had
Oh,
archangels' names, starting from. But this new bottle that had been born was called Queen Mab.
I love okay, yes. My heart, I love her so much. Okay,
Yes.
continue the
So,
story.
and the Queen of the Fairies.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
So it was like, and like even bringing it back a wee bit further to what you said about Queen Mab, and you said something about it not being the road we think it is, it maybe not being the path. So it's like we can be shown, we can be given divine messages and inspirations. Like it's like these energies are really, really alive. They're really working through humanity. They're not, it's so easy, like even if I go back to Bridget, when you started to talk about Bridget at the beginning, and that everybody, even though it was a creative and it was a writing, that part, that feeling part was pushed back. And maybe that
Yes.
was pushed back because people have feelings about how we've been judged for allowing our intuition, it's all linked. It's so
Yeah.
linked.
Yes, no, I love that, and I love that the bottle was Queen Maeve. I
Yeah.
just
And
oh,
it's like
my
since
heart.
then, yeah, it's just sort of like all of the bottles since have been given very earthy names. So you've had Pan, you've had Echo, you've had, so they're all very, and this seems to be these colors seem to be related to what's going on in the earth realm at the
Yes.
minute, about bringing it all to life, that creativity that you're doing as well, with really awakening and reminding people of the true essence of the goddesses. and the gods, because I have heard you talk, Elizabeth, and share your stories, and it really brings it to life. This is real. This is what we need.
Yes, and I love that. I also want to share I want to talk about Goddess Anya for just a second because I promise I'll weave it back. But I just want to say again, it's so funny. Multiple times I've been in Ireland, like a lot of I don't know how to say. It's again, it's like the roads. The roads have their own magic to them. And it's so funny because I was there this past summer and I had a group of women that I was the group leader. And we were going to like the west of Ireland and I knew there was a woman on the trip who loved Goddess Anya. And I knew there was a lake that was like by County Limerick. And I was like, oh, this lake is sacred to Anya. And in the back of my mind, I was like, if only we could go there, if only we could fit this in. And so we're going, and I'm thinking this is going to be just like 2 hours. I don't know where the roads are closed. This road's closed. That road's closed. And the driver's like, I have to go a 5 hour route. I'm like, what? What? And so we end up going right through County Limerick. And I'm just like, wait, the lake that's sacred to Anya, it's here. Can we? And it was so weird because in my heart of hearts, I had been thinking, oh, if only I could take this woman to the lake because I know she need like on a soul level, she really was being called by Anya. And I share that because it's like, even though then I'm thinking as like the person in charge of the trip, no, 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 I can't change the trip for one person. I got to go with the plan. It's like the goddess had a plan of her own. And
Yes.
I share that because she was making sure that we all got to that lake, even if it meant the road was closed and it was like now a 5 hour detour. And then the way back it was fine. There was no detour. But the point though is that we were supposed to get there.
Yeah, the land pulled you in. The land so needs our energy.
And
It's it actually it pulled you in, it drew you upon it because that's the relationship that's so needed.
yes. And I think that really what's coming through, this might be a little bit hard for some people, but no, I'm going to trust that this audience is going to get it. Like, so I really feel that it's almost like a musical instrument. Like, so if you have, I'm trying to think of a good instrument, like a guitar, or it's like, even though there are all different guitars, they all each instrument has its own unique sound. Like they're each instrument is unique. And I feel that when the land calls us, it's calling us there because we each have our own soul song. There are just like frequencies and codes and energies that you have that no one else on this entire earth possesses. These are your soul codes. These are your frequency notes. This is, like, to me, this is your unique energetic signature. And I have seen when I invite people, because I've, run trips to Ireland, I'm running more trips to Ireland in 2025. And I try to say to people like, oh, like, do you want to come to Ireland? A lot of people want to go, but the question is, are you called? And really, it's the land that calls you. And I really feel like you just said it's like the land is calling people because not just us as the guardians, but I think on a soul level, on a frequency level, there's something that she needs. She is calling us there for healing. She is for us to heal her, for us to activate her, bringing our magic. And so I just appreciate you saying that, like, the land called us, because I think that what I'm hearing is the word reciprocal. We think like, oh, I got to go to the land so I can be healed. And we don't realize that the land is also calling us there so she can be healed. The land is calling us there because we're so magical, because she is wanting people to remember the secrets of the universe, because the land wants to experience that magic through us and with us. And I really feel like the word that I'm hearing is the word commune. The land wants to commune because it's like, we are kismet. There is a oneness. And that's just something I wanted to say. I just really feel that the land has a life of her own. And going back to what you were saying earlier, the king is married to the land. The land really, to me, I'm going to be honest, to me, the land has it's like Mother Earth, Gaia. The land has a very feminine soul essence. And so I really, really feel that we are called. to remember, I think I think it's Latin, they called it anima mundi, the soul of the world. And you can connect with the soul of the world through all different landscapes, through all different lands. But wherever you are called, and I invite anyone who's listening to this, wherever you are in the world, sometime today or this week, just go outside, connect to the spirit of the land, the soul of the world. Know that that soul of the world is there wherever you are. And just think it's so powerful for all of us who are here connecting through this summit. If all of us go outside connecting to the soul of the world and just really feeling our place in it, really feeling the majesty of this beautiful sacred moment that we all get to share here on planet Earth. And I just really feel this message wanting to come through. So a lot of times we might look at the world and we may say, the world is broken. This is broken. This leader has done this. This system has fallen. This is corrupt. And what if we didn't look at it that way? What if we just went outside and connected to the eternal beauty of creation? And if we chose to see it that way. And that's why I invite you to go out, to connect with the soul of the world, seeing nothing is broken. Everything is whole. And I think it's through the seeing through that lens, that's how we change the world. That's how we impact the creation. That's how we make magic and miracles.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like the land owns us, that there's been this thing for millenniums and millenniums now that mankind and wars and this, that, and the other. But actually, we don't own the land. The land
Yes.
owns us.
Yes.
She's playing us.
Yes, I love that. And one thing I love too, because I tried to actually release that word from my vocabulary, that like ownership word. And I think the thing is, I said the land owns us, but the land also wants us to be free. And that's really what I feel. And a lot of times especially I feel this a lot when I'm in Ireland. It's like that. I remember the part, like every single one of us you all have a part of you, the part which is never forgotten what it is to be free. And that's what I like to tap into, because I think a lot of us, whatever, like we all have circumstances that they might make us feel limited or constricted. And that's also, again, like for me, this is the earth magic, sky magic. I love looking up to, like, for example, like even like a bird in the sky. And there's so many different, for example, I mentioned the Morrigan, the crows, the ravens, the rooks, sacred to the Morrigan. So the birds, the swan is sacred. Swan is sacred to Bridget. And I'm sharing this because when we actually kind of look at the energy of birds, that freedom to soar from treetop to treetop, that freedom to take to the sky, and there is medicine there. So I invite you also to that's really why I love connecting, like when I say like the gods and goddesses, it really is this connection to all of life.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, the medicine that we can experience. So it's almost like if you want to experience more freedom, connect with the energy of the birds. If you want to experience, like, for example, that divine inspiration, connect with Goddess Bridget. Like everything that we might want to learn or know or experience is available to us if we seek out the right guide. And sometimes that guide is a human guide, but other times the guides, they're on the inner planes. They can be animals in nature. They can be stones. I just, like, for me, one of my great guides is the stone of destiny, at the hill of Tara. And so I share that because there is so much guidance and wisdom and inspiration that is available to us at all times, if we know where to seek it, if we open our hearts to receive it.
Yeah, definitely. And the nature is so powerful. It's like the goddess's energy are living through the nature and the animal and being infused.
Yes.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, I want to just mention, just to finish up, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for everything. And you have a whole wealth of information when it comes to connecting with the gods and the goddesses and that magical and very real energy, that energy as well that comes through from the nature, the elements, the fae. You are so, so connected to that. So I'm going to say to everybody, be sure and have Elizabeth's details in the link below the talk here, how you can connect in with her further and get to know much more about Elizabeth's work. And can I just ask as well you to talk about or just mention your free gift? It's the Enchanted Ireland Extravaganza. If you want to share a wee bit about that, Elizabeth, before we close up.
Yes, I would love to. So this was actually a 3-day challenge I ran. I think it was in May of 2020. Was it this year? It was this year. It was this year, 2024. And so day one was connecting with Queen Maeve. Day two was connecting with the Dagda, who is Bridget's father. And I think there was also a couple other members of the Tuatha Dé Danann. These are the ancient gods and goddesses of Ireland. So there was also that day connection with the god Lu, the god Ogma. So yeah, I love the gods too. I love the divine masculine as well. And the last day was actually also called Irish Goddess of the Land and Sea, connecting with the goddess Danu, and I'm trying to remember there was another earth Eru, like God, yes, there was an activation connecting to those goddesses. So if you really want a very, very deep experience of the Irish gods and goddesses, there's that extravaganza, and I'm also going to add in a couple videos that are more recent. So I'm going to add in this is going to be just like a beautiful, some of these videos are already, they're on my YouTube channel, but I'm just going to include them in anyway, because I want you to have access to all of it. There is a beautiful thing I did on Goddess Anya, who I just spoke of, and I want you guys to have that. It's like a beautiful 90-minute class I taught on Goddess Anya. I'm also going to throw in a couple. I did this thing a few weeks ago. It was like mermaid magic. It was like this beautiful, it was another 3-day challenge. But on days 2 and 3, I worked with Irish and Scottish goddesses. So I'm going to add those videos in as well. So I don't want to like overwhelm you, but that's why it's the extravaganza. That's why it's going to be laid out. It's going to be laid out very carefully so that you can, whichever god or goddess you are called to learn more about, you can click on the video that connects with them. So just know that this is something for those of you who want to go deeper and you want to see more of my work, but you also really want to connect with a particular deity. I just want to say that day one, Queen Maeve, she brings the passion, she brings the fire. If you want to connect more with like I said, like the goddesses of the sea, I will have that highlighted as well. So this is for whoever you are wanting to connect with. This extravaganza will have a beautiful god or goddess that will help you go deeper. And I want to share, I think, the Enchanted Ireland extravaganza videos that are from May. I do talk about a trip that already happened. So if you hear me talking about that trip that already took place, that was this past summer. But there are other trips that I'll be doing in 2025 to Ireland, just so that no one's confused. You're like, what about this trip? Like it already happened over the summer, but if you want to go to Ireland, if you want me as your guide, there are new trips I'll be hosting there in 2025.
Well, that'll be so beautiful. I hope to meet up with you at some stage whenever you're over, Elizabeth. And I must
I
check
know,
out
I just know
Anya
you
as
in Northern
well.
Ireland. Yes, I love
Uh-huh.
Northern Ireland. So I'll
Yeah.
have to
And I
see you.
don't know much about Anya, so we'll have to check her out as well.
Oh, yes, I love that, Asanya. Yes, I have.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'll send you the link to that because that one is on my YouTube. So I'll send that to you.
So thank you so much. Thank you for being here, and everybody's going to love this. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.